So, what is time? 7:26. Okay. We'll share the screen. Oh no. Exit full screen. Yeah. Share screen. This screen full రావట్లే భాస్కర్.
స్క్రీన్ అది స్లైడ్
మార్నింగ్ చిట్టిబాబు.
గుడ్ మార్నింగ్ సార్.
స్లైడ్ ఇంకా షేర్ చేయలేదు సార్ నేను.
అదే రావట్లేదు ఏంటో పీపీటీ ఫైల్స్. No advanced. I have opened PPT but exit full screen.
సార్ ఒకసారి పీపీటీ క్లోజ్ చేసి మళ్ళీ
ఓకే ఓకే. క్లోజ్ చేసి ఓపెన్ చేయాలా?
షేర్ చేయండి. షేర్ స్క్రీన్ ఓపెన్.
అవి స్క్రీన్ కనపట్లేదంట. క్లోజ్ చేసి ఓపెన్ చేయమంటారా? ఓకే. How do we go? Smart Leap. Okay. Smart Leap. Good morning to you all. Varshit, Prakash Garu, CH, Veerraghavan, Bhaskaran. Railways. Where is Railways? 20, yeah? Yeah. By the full screen. Share screen. ఎందుకు రావట్లేదు భాస్కర్?
షేర్ స్క్రీన్ అవ్వాలి సార్, కావట్లేదా?
మళ్ళీ ఓపెన్ చేసిన రావట్లేదు.
ఉన్న ప్రజెంటేషన్స్ అన్ని క్లోజ్ చేసి సార్.
ఇంకేం లేవు, అదొకటే ఉంది. ఓన్లీ ఇట్ ఈస్ షోయింగ్ స్క్రీన్. ఎగ్జిట్ ఫుల్ స్క్రీన్. ఎందుకు రావట్లేదు?
వచ్చింది సార్.
అమ్మా ఏంటో ఇది. నౌ ఐ హావ్ టు నౌ ఇట్స్ ఓకేనా?
ఓకే సార్.
Okay. Oh, we are already on time actually. Good morning to you all, and today's important topic that is engineering railways. We used to have the subject called railway engineering. So similar way I named it, engineering the railways. In fact, a lot of details today also as usual, running into about 240 slides. So let us continue. Overview of the topic is introduction to railways and about little bit about Indian railways and railways details, components of railways, stations, and interesting thing in railways is bridges. And now in India we have DFC, dedicated freight corridor, and modern trends in railways. So these are the topics I'll be covering today. So be ready for. So this is an interesting map of railways I found in internet. 1871, you can see India was still in parts actually. Some of the regions are not part of United India, not under British rule actually. So whatever corridors they had made the railways, you know. And so this was the map in 1871. And 1909, this is the map of railways. You can see how much growth it was there in 38 years for these railways in this period. So now Indian Railways is fourth largest in the world actually. So we have 67,000 kilometers of railways as of last year. I don't think in 1 year we would have added more than maybe 500 kilometers. And out of which 34,000 kilometers is electrified in India. And you know, in 1 year, 18-19 fiscal year, the railways have carried 844 crore passengers. So many people travel actually, so many times that means. So, and transported 123 crore tons of freight. So, the railways runs 13,523 trains every day, and both long and short distance, and it has 7,321 railway stations. So this is very interesting data. In fact, I picked it up from Wikipedia. So we have only electrified 50% of railways still. Of course, the viability they will be considering while doing the electrification and doubling of the lanes. There are many single lane railways, you know. So India still has to convert a lot of routes to double lane actually, double rail. So let us look at the technical background. So the important technical terms in railways that we use is mainly track, railway track. It is formed of two rails actually, and steel, which is mostly used in this track, and it includes all lines of rails, sidings or branches, everything is called railway. And rolling stock, the locomotives, passenger coaches, and the goods wagons which roll or run on rail is called the rolling stock. And locomotive is the main engine that pulls all the rolling stock actually. So which transfers the chemical energy of the fuel into mechanical energy, and now it is electrical energy into mechanical energy. Wagons, you know, in freight, most of the freight is contributed by these coal transport actually for these thermal power stations, from the coal mining to thermal power stations, and even ore, iron ore and aluminum ore is transported by these trains for the process. Next, we have the coaches or vehicles, the passenger coaches. Now we are seeing these coaches are being converted into corona isolation wards, you know, and railways have did convert these coaches into 10,000 beds and all. And we have sidings when a branch starting from the main line terminates at the dead end. That is called the siding. That is in the railway stations we see these sidings mostly. And next most important thing is the ballast. We for civil engineering, it's an important term, and the ballast is basically aggregates, coarse aggregates, or a granular material under the sleepers and rail. So the ballast is used basically for creating the cushioning. You know, there is a lot of impact, and there is a lot of fatigue on the soil, and it's a really great technology. Ballast will absorb this vibration and saves the soil from the settlements actually by absorbing this vibration or impact from the rail movement on the rails. So this is a typical railway track, the parallel railways, and then you can see the what you call the sleepers, and then we have this ballast. So this is a very beautiful creation actually, engineering wise, for transfer, and these are the dedicated rails and most efficient transport in terms of passengers or the freight. And this is the rolling stock, basically the coaches and wagons, they come under the rolling stock actually. And this is the locomotives. We have electric locomotives, we have diesel locomotives, we have coal locomotives also. So locomotive engines, and these are the wagons for freight actually. So we should know the loading of these wagons, and railways is a different subject as such. And most of the people who appear for UPSC in engineering, they prefer first ranker will always prefer railways. They join in railways actually, and railways is the most disciplined department actually. And a lot of my friends are working in railways actually. My classmates, they are working in railways, and you know they have become chief engineers in 20 years almost. With 20-year service, they have become chief engineers. That is the advantage actually. There are quick promotions, time-bound promotions in railways. That is why, and also disciplined life. But at the same time, I have friends who have left railways also because they could not bear the pressures. One of my friends joined railways when he was a superintendent engineer. He was posted for one of the bridge section, and that bridge got washed away within second day of his reporting to that bridge. And he was being investigated, interrogated for that. You know, this is the kind of things possible in government. And railways and MES, defense also, the investigations will be very serious. Of course, it's good for engineering, but at the same time, sometimes you will be investigated even if you are not directly connected with it. So railways has both. Always when you have a reward, you have a risk also. So you have to consider while considering this carrier. And these are different types of wagons and coaches or vehicles as it is called. And this is the siding I was talking about. You know, in the railway stations, you have to keep the coaches in the time gap. So there will be a siding in the stations where the coaches will be kept waiting in the siding. And ballast, as I explained, is almost like half meter to 1 meter depending on the soil conditions. This ballast design is there, and we have to provide this ballast below the sleepers. So we have three types of gauge lines, different gauges in India. Now meter gauge or narrow gauge is no more prevalent actually, or not very popular. Broad gauge is the mostly used one. And so we have broad gauge 1676 mm rail to rail, and meter gauge is 1 meter, and narrow gauge is 762 mm and 610 mm. In fact, this narrow gauge is developed for hilly terrains. Like if you go to Ooty or Himachal Pradesh, Shimla, you will see this kind of narrow gauges actually. So convert all narrow gauge and meter gauge lines into broad gauge. This is the effort being done in India, because now with the technology we are able to develop this, and the cost of maintenance of these coaches or acquiring coaches of different, and economics doesn't work out having so many gauges. That's why now it is easier to spend capital expenditure converting into broad gauge than having different rolling stock for different gauges, and shifting the passengers, transit of the passengers, you know, is more difficult and not viable or not economical, basically. So this is a permanent way. There is a post for engineers called permanent way inspectors actually. So it is a permanent way inspection is carried out almost on weekly basis for every railway, because the safety is very important, and Unlike roads, which you can see, unless you travel on this rail, you cannot find the fitness of these rails. That's why there will be inspection periodically on these permanent ways, and you have to check these fixtures, which I'll be explaining as we move forward. These are called the clips, rail clips, which are connected to the, because this is a structure which is just resting. There is no fixity except for passive resistance of this ballast. The rails will be resting on the sleeper with the link of these clips. Even clips are not welded. They'll be holding by the mechanical pressure only. So ballast and subgrade is called the railway track or permanent way. Total, this whole system like subgrade, in sometimes we have the embankments, and so we have the embankment, ballast, rail, sleeper and the rail. Together is called the permanent way. And there will be inspection done, carried out. So this is the cross section typical. You can see this is the axle of the railway, of the coach. And this is the rail, and you have this sleeper connected with clips, and we have this ballast cushion. This is called the ballast bed, and we have this formation embankment depending on the levels of the ground, and we have this natural subgrade. So this is the various important things, the slope for this embankment, slope for the ballast, and these are the dimensions required for various gauges. So this is a track cross section again, same ballast base. This is the ballast base, and this is the formation width and formation base. So we have 3.4 meters for 2.7 meter sleeper length for 1.7 meter broad gauge, you know. So this is the width, and ballast base is 4.4 meters. And if you have to form embankment, you have to form the 6.1 meters. So this is the, depending on the height, this is 2 times the depth or height of this embankment. So this is the end for drainage. We have to plan for the drainage here. So this is the gauge, whatever number we were talking about, the broad gauge, the gauge is always refers to inner dimension of the rails. And rails are fixed to sleepers, and the sleepers hold the rail in proper position with respect to their proper tilt. And sleeper is boxed with ballast. And now the typical length of broad gauge sleeper is 2.7 meters, as I have shown. And track components are natural subgrade and subgrade ballast cushion, ballast shoulder I have shown, and ballast base. So these are the components of the track. And formation width typically is 6.1 meters for broad gauge track. Better we remember broad gauge is enough, and cess width, width of formation beyond the toe of the ballast is termed as the cess width, which I have shown in the cross section. And conventional track structure is like this. We have this 30 centimeter ballast minimum, and sometimes it can go up to the size of the stone is 30 to 60 mm. And fastening system we have, and sleeper concrete. Sleepers we have concrete or wood or even steel. So these are the sleepers, and the spacing of the sleeper is 600 mm, and rail the load is 900 Newton per mm square, and we have this axial load of 225 kilonewtons. That is the axial load that is considered for the design. And we have the gravel below the ballast, and we have the subgrade below the gravel. So this is the typical track structure. And ideal permanent way, the requirements or gauge of the permanent way should be correct and uniform. So it is always prefixed, you know, the erection of the railway, if you see, the rail is fixed on a machine only. And with the sleepers, and then ballast is laid, ballast base, and then rail is fixed, and again ballast cushion is added around the sleepers. So this is the method of construction. So tractive resistance of the track should be minimum. So the friction, and then the design of permanent way should be such that the load of the train is uniformly distributed to the ground, and all component parts such as rails, sleepers, ballast, fixtures, fastenings should satisfy the design requirements. So this is the theoretical, and route kilometers. This is the route length of railway between origin and destination. Running track kilometer is length of the running track on the route. So total track kilometers, here we can see broad gauge in India is 46,800 kilometers and meter gauge is 13,000. This is as on 2004 actually. It is getting changed now, meter gauge to broad gauge and narrow gauge to broad gauge. And the total track route, that means the track routes, that means you have doubling line and all that. So the actual track route is 63,000 and the total running track is 83,000. That is including like lane length. It is a lane length. So we have this cost of construction, volume and nature of traffic, and increase in the cost of earthwork, rails, sleepers and ballast and other track, and depending on the selection, for the selection of the gauge actually. So there is no, now the selection of gauge is fixed, it is only broad gauge. And speed of the movement, and then we have the development of areas, physical features and the function of the rails. Now the function of the rail is to transmit the wheel load from the axle to the sleeper and sleeper to the ballast and ballast to the subgrade and subgrade to the natural grade. So composition of rail steel, this is a lot of research. We have research board for railways. Actually, we have Railtel, we have many companies associated with railways, because railways is one of, you know, that budget of the railways runs into about 2 lakh crores per annum. So 2 lakh crores is the business done by railways in India. So we have to have accuracy and safety maintained for the railways. So the quality of the steel, rail steel, is defined, and tests are carried out for this quality of the rails. And rails at points and crossings. Again, there is a special rail required at the points and crossings. So this is the test material composition of these rails, and proper composition of the steel, vertical stiffness, and rails should be capable of withstanding lateral forces, because there will be knocking and all that. And we have the sufficiently deep head, and the web of the rail should be sufficiently thick. So these are all the specifications given. Overturning and bottom of the head rail. I'll show the pictures, that is better. And mainly the tensile strength of the rail piece should not be less than 72 kg per mm square. So it's very high compared to our high tensile steel and all that. So double head rails we have bull-headed rails, and we have flat footed rails. So these are the types of rails. In fact, these are the double-headed rail. That means upper table and lower table, it is almost symmetrical. And we have this bull-headed rail. So in bull-headed rail, the top head is more strong, and this is the flat rail actually. So these rails are chosen depending on the fixing to the sleepers and type of sleepers also. So for the wooden sleepers, you must go for these flat footed rails only. So this is the photograph of these rails. And as I said, you can see these clips hold the rail in position by mechanical force only. In fact, I did the modeling of this clip. There was a huge research going on this clip, you know, how many clips you will be using for the railways, you can imagine. So the optimization of this clip design, mainly the fatigue tests to be conducted on the rail and on these clips, is very important. And so These are the types of rails, and we have this bull-headed rail and flat-footed rails, and comparison of the rails for between flat-footed and bull-headed, of course, and standard rail sections, broad gauge. Let us talk about broad gauge only. So we have 60 kg per meter unit weight, and type of section is a 60 MR, depending on the unit weight only, and the length is 13 meters, because the more length is preferred because you have to reduce the joints. Earlier we used to have a lot of fish plates and joints, so they found there are more problems due to these joints than expansion itself. So they have now we have welding done, avoiding these fish plates. So 90R rail section adequate only for annual traffic of about 10 gross million tons, speed up to 100 kilometers per hour, and service life 20 to 25 years. And 52 MR rails are suitable for use of speed of 130 kilometers per hour. The load shall be designed to columns. Yeah, that's right. I'll cover that questions at the end, towards the end. Voice echo you're getting? Bhaskar?
Sir, Banu, sir.
Okay, somebody has put a message, voice echo on JP. So, okay, 60 MR is considered for, so when you have this highest speed rail, it should be 160 kilometers per hour. So details of standard rail sections. So here we can see 60 MR, weight per meter is, sorry, 60R, 29.76 kgs. Area of the section is 3800 square centimeters, square mm, and dimensions are given here. So we have rails, hogged rails and kink-in rails, and buckling in rails. These are all the issues we have to care. Wear is one of the prominent defects of the rails. So on the basis of location, I'll show you the pictures, you will understand better. That's why I'm running fast. And on sharp curves, we have the wear classification. On gradients, up or down, and then we have on approach stations because of the braking, and in coastal areas because of the corrosion. And then on the top of the rail, and on the sides of the rail, and the end of the rail. So this is the various wear on rails you can see. So this is the burr, it is called the burr, and this is the gauge force, and you have this burr and wear at inside of the outer rail. So these are the different conditions of wear, and here end of the rails wear, you know, because of this fish plates or joint, there will be always stress concentration at the end due to the transition from rail to rail. So you will have this end of the rail depression in the rail. So when wear exceeds the permissible limit of 5% of the total weight of the section, the rail must be replaced. So this is one important parameter for the safety actually. Reduction in number of joints by welding, use of special alloy steel at the location where the wear is more. You cannot change the whole rail for the sake of these concentration points, you know. So we have to design the concentration points with different grade of steel actually. So maintenance of correct gauge will reduce the side wear particularly, and that is alignment, fixing the alignment. Lubricating of the gauge face of outer rail also will help in reducing the wear actually. So longitudinal movement and closing of the expansion spaces at the joints, and that is I have shown the joints. And marks on flanges and web of the rails made by spike head by scrapping. So here we can see the creep in the rails. This is of course a blown up figure, but this is the kind of creep that you can have. So by doing the permanent way inspection, you will be able to find these things. And drag or dragging theory and percussion theory, and starting, accelerating, slowdown, stopping of a train, and unbalanced traffic. These are all the reasons for this creep actually. And alignments of the track, grade of the track, sorry, type of rails, direction of the heavy traffic, all these are the factors affecting the magnitude. The most serious effect of the creep is the buckling of the track actually. So the buckling can cause accidents also due to the occurrence of excessive gap at the joints, so we have to handle. So now this is the effect of the creep. We can see points at the crossing and changeovers and all. So we have to use the higher grade of steel at this kind of crossings, you know. And the movement of switches made difficult and interlocking due to this creep effects actually otherwise. So smashing of fish plates, bolts, bending of bars, kinks at the joints. So these have to be inspected periodically and checked. And pulling back the rails and the provision of anchors, we have to change these rails and provide the anchors properly per rail for creep, 4 anchors per rail. And for creep, we have to have 6 anchors. And use of steel sleepers is also one of the solution actually. So because the wood can expand or contract depending on the moisture conditions and all in the sleepers, so we can substitute with steel. And these are the anchors. Always we never put a bolt directly from the rail to the sleeper. Please remember, it will always be physically held by the pressure, as I said in the beginning. So coning of the wheels also will solve to some extent these problems actually. So it will also lock the movement and rattling kind of thing. So this is the wheel of the flange and the clearance between the wheel and the rail. So coning of the wheels will help, and advantages of coning is reduce the wear and tear of the wheel flange and also provide possibility of lateral movement of the axle. So, and at the turnings also, basically you have to see when there are turnings, there will be knocking of the axle with the rails actually. So I'll not go into these formulas and all. Functions of the sleepers, we all know requirement of the sleeper is to basically distribute the load and also prevent lifting, packing, prevent the lifting and also pack the rails in position. And then weight of the sleepers, we had huge like kind of revolution in 1890 period, that decade, when most of the sleepers, wooden sleepers, or you know, wood is environmentally fragile material. You know, you cannot continuously use wood only, replacing the sleeper and all. So Government of India in 1890 period, they have decided as a policy to change all the sleepers to concrete, pre-stressed concrete. So many factories have come up with this PSCC, you know, sleepers, and so they have started replacing the wooden sleepers with these PSCC sleepers. So the purpose of the sleeper is to absorb the shock and vibration and transmit to the static load to the ballast. And if there is any residual overall shock also, the ballast will be absorbing that. So wooden sleepers, as I explained, salwood used to be used for these wooden sleepers because of this warping characters and all that. And teak, of course, is very costly. It costs prohibitive. So composite sleeper index is to be calculated. The minimum values are mentioned as per the railway code. And treatment of wooden sleepers, you know, seasoning has to be done to prevent any damage to these sleepers. And metal sleepers, we have part bowl sleepers and plate sleepers, we have box sleepers, and CST9, which is the latest, and rail-free duplex sleepers. So these are the pots or bowl sleepers we have. Effective bearing is zero point 0.2 square meters. And so this is the pot bowl sleeper connected with a rod, you know. This is the pot bowl sleeper bearing of 50 centimeters. And this is the CST9 sleeper, very well engineered sleeper. But still, steel is always a problem because of the corrosion, you know, and the maintenance issues of the steel. It weighs 103 kgs each sleeper, and every 2 feet you have to have sleepers. That is the biggest cost actually. So we have various types of sleepers, and this you can see. This you would have seen many places, the sleeper and the concrete sleepers. Now the mostly used sleepers are concrete sleepers. And we have pre-stressed concrete mainly because it is economical, otherwise reinforced will be costly, and the production cost also is very high. So they are made up of homogeneous material, impervious to effect of the moisture. So the steam curing and all is very important, and they use the high performance concrete for these PSCC sleepers. And pre-stressed concrete, the maximum permissible compressive strength is 211 kg per cm square. Cube crushing strength is 422 at 28 days, and pre-stress almost equivalent to M35, and pre-stressed wires of 8.82 kgs. Yeah, and this is the pre-stressed concrete sleeper, and you can see these clips. They use these clips. So this is the typical shape of the pre-stressed concrete sleeper, and this is the provision for the fixing of the clip. And here you can see the photograph, close photograph of these clips placed on the rail. And these are the sleepers with the pre-stressing. So this is the comparison of various sleepers. The maintenance is moderate for steel sleepers, and concrete sleeper is most advantageous. Life for concrete sleeper is the highest actually, 40 and more reliable depending on the quality control. So now everybody is using these pre-stressed concrete sleepers. So these are all the value engineering of the sleepers. And edging of the sleepers, you can, so in wooden sleepers, you can see this problem, which will cause problems. And the ballast material. Now, the next important thing in the railway is the ballast stone, the gradation of the ballast stone, and 5 centimeters or 50 mm, and for wooden sleepers 4 centimeters. And gravel or river pebbles also used wherever the cost is prohibitive for this broken stone. And cinder ash also is added, and sand for this ballast material. And then concrete or brick ballast, and a ballast furnace slag also is used, and a selected earth for the base. And the size of the ballast for wooden sleepers, it is 51 mm, and for steel sleeper, it is all from inches actually, 2 inches, 1.5 inch, and 1 inch. That is the magic figures actually, 25.4 and all. So minimum depth of ballast section, it is assumed to be, it should calculate like this: sleeper spacing, width of sleeper, and into 2 times the depth of the ballast. So depth of the ballast is 30 centimeters. So 0.6 plus width of sleeper is 2.7. So that's how we arrive at the ballast base for the sleeper. So tests on ballast, we have to conduct all the tests like durability tests, abrasion, Los Angeles abrasion test, and then this is the ballast material testing equipment, and crushing strength we have to do, and we have to do the impact test on the ballast, And so these are all the equipment we use for velocimeter. Shape test, flakiness index, elongation index, all these tests we have to do, routine tests. And this is the thickness of the gauge test and the length gauge test and a ballast material. Durability, we do this Los Angeles abrasion or mill abrasion. And shape and surface characteristics, we do flatness, elongation. And the gradation, we do for size and size distribution. Unit weight, we calculate, we do the specific gravity test. And track fitting and fastenings. So now this is the finest thing I was talking about. This is the latest clips actually used for this rail fixing to the sleepers actually. And we have the spikes or bolts to be used, and the chairs for seating the rail, and the blocks, keys and plates. So these are all the material that is used for fixing the rail. And we have this Pandrol clip or elastic rail clip, and the Pandrol 401 clip is the standard type of fastening used in IR, and earlier manufacturers and required very less maintenance for these clips actually. And then spring steel bar with a diameter of 20 mm is heat treated actually, and it exerts a tow load of 710 kgs. So by its shape and its elasticity, you know, this will claw. And we have these fish plates. Requirement of fish plates is well understood, and the section to withstand the shocks and heavy stresses due to lateral and vertical bending moments. So this is the typical photograph of a fish plate, you know, at the joints. And we have this clip positioning of, and I'm telling you, if I have come across the most stringent departments in our country, is railways first comes, and then MES in terms of technical standards actually, implementation of the technical standards. And at the same time, because they follow meticulously all these standards, there are also investigations on them more. I'll take the questions towards the end, another 10 minutes please. So these are the spikes. We have these dog spikes, and these are the screws and screw type spikes. We have these, so round spikes we have. So standard spikes, elastic spikes, chairs, CI chairs and slide chairs. So these are the spikes used, you know. And this is the cast iron chair, you can see, and this is for absorption of the lateral force. So much of technology, and blocks and dog or hook bolts and fish bolts, keys we have. So these are the keys actually. We have seen that in the rail. And bearing plates for transfer of the load from the rail to the what you call sleepers. So these are the bearing plates, and we have the railway sidings. So this is the siding for even private operators. Railways use these slidings actually. So these are the photographs of the sidings in China. When we stack the aggregate, there will be a natural slope formed. So that is why we prefer trapezoidal. You know, the angle of repose of the aggregate, it is, so what they do is, if you have observed, there will be a measuring box. So the measuring box is put, and you pour the aggregate in it, lift the measuring box, and it forms the trapezoidal shape. And they measure the top width and the bottom width, and you calculate the volume of this trapezoidal. That is how it is done. That's why the trapezoidal shape, there is no special reason for trapezoidal except for natural formation of the slope because of its angle of internal friction in the aggregate. So these are the photographs of this railway siding. And this is in Australia. Just for creating interest, I have taken some of the photographs. Crossing and level junctions. So this is the crossing, very interesting designs. I used to be very inquisitive when I was first traveling in the train, seeing all this. So why these so many complexities and things? So we have level crossings actually. So these are all the level crossings, V crossing, and this is the square crossing, and this is the diamond crossing, and this is Nagpur. Because Nagpur is the center of our country. We have the northeast, north to south, and east to west lines crossing in the Nagpur. And we have these railway lines connecting Calcutta, Chennai, Chennai, Mumbai, and Mumbai, Delhi, Delhi, Calcutta. This is called the Golden Quadrilateral. And Diamond Crossing in Chicago. This is a very interesting crossing. And we have Scissors Crossing, 2 parallel lines. So you can see this is animated, the rail routes by movement of this. You can see how it changes. So by moving this, you will get the rail movement here. And so there are 2 movements actually. Now you will close this, and you will close that, then you have parallel movement. Crossing and changing of the lane and the parallel movement. So this is shown in this thing. And we have these gathering lines to the stations. From the stations there will be gathering lines. And this is the loop junction. And we have this turntable. At the dead-end stations, we have these turntables to reverse the engine direction. So this is the turntable. I don't know how many of you would have seen. Once in Vijayawada, I think, Vijayawada station, I walked down to this turntable to see. I was standing there for an hour to see the how it works, changing of the direction of the engine. And turntables are there in almost every. So here, very interesting. You can change the rail from one to see how much space is saved for this rail. So next is the stations. Very interesting stations. VT and Hazrat Nizamuddin, and we have many junction stations, Vijayawada, and all that. And in US also, a typical station design looks like this, and London also. So we had the opportunity to survey these stations across the country for setting up Wi-Fi points. We are appointed by Google for Wi-Fi. So we did survey almost hundreds of stations across the country. So we have prepared the drawings for all these stations. That's how I'm able to show these drawings of these stations, and we showed the Wi-Fi points for these stations. So this is a Secunderabad railway station, and this is a Nampally station, dead-end station actually. And we have done this Tambram, Chennai, and Trivandrum railway station. So our team have gone to all the stations, conducted the survey, and this is the Mumbai railway station. So we have wayside stations, junction stations, terminal stations. So wayside stations are halt stations and flag stations and crossing station in wayside. That means they're not very important, but at the same time, there will be some halts sometimes. So this is a halt station schematic drawing. So it will be a single track, and flag stations just for clearing the signal. Most of the express trains won't stop at these flag stations, and we have crossing stations. This is a crossing station, and we have these junction stations like Vijayawada, Kajipet, and all that junction stations. And we have terminal stations like Nampally and dead-end terminal. So this is how you will have the platform connectivity at the end of this platform. We have platforms for passengers and platforms for goods and dedicated freight corridor now. The most, though the railways, it's the obligation of the government to run for the passengers at the subsidized price. The cheapest mode of travel in our country is the train actually. But the railways make profit only in the freight. So the dedicated freight corridor is, otherwise, you know, they used to give priority to the passenger trains because it is more popular. You can imagine 830 crore passengers traveling in the trains. But still they make loss because the operating cost is much higher than the revenue collected. So dedicated, they used to stop these freight for the sake of passenger, to keep the time, to maintain the time of these passenger trains, because people will comment and so then the government had to take a decision to create dedicated freight corridor, not affecting the passenger traffic, at the same time maintaining the timelines for the freight also. So this is the goods platform, and we have these railway yards, we have passenger yards, goods yards, and marshalling yards and locomotive yards. And locomotive yards are for maintenance of the locomotives. And this is the passenger yard, goods yard for unloading and loading, and goods yard. Marshalling yards, this is the marshalling yard, you know. So they will be marshalling these rolling stock actually and the wagons for the sake of waiting and loading. And we have these flat marshalling yards, we have gravity marshalling yard and hump yard. So these are the different types. So this is a typical drawing of a hump yard. So DFC, we have Eastern DFC, we have this Western corridor, and estimated of 3,300 kilometers. A lot of work is happening in dedicated freight corridor. Most of them are elevated because of the cost of the acquisition. And so these are the dedicated freight corridors. And next important thing is railway tunnels. The recent one in Jammu, the longest tunnel we have, and construction of these tunnels, and this is the old Shimla tunnel. And we have tunnels in UP, and this is a tunnel in Japan. High-speed railway tunnels in Japan and railway bridges is a very interesting thing. And we have friends in railways who keep sharing the photographs. And this is the Pamban Bridge, very famous Pamban Bridge, on which our great engineer Sridharan worked on this bridge in his beginning of his career. So it's a very interesting bridge, like Howrah Bridge is another one, and Railway Arch Bridge in Goa. Konkan Railways is the next biggest thing, again, where our great engineer Sridharan worked on Konkan Railways also. So this is the bridge, tallest railway bridge in Jammu, and this is in England, Arch Bridge, and this is in Switzerland. So this is a railway bridge in Korea. So the railway bridge in Indonesia. Very interesting structures, you know, that's why I'm showing. So this is in Iran, different countries' best bridges. We have collected the data to share. In fact, design of bridges itself is a separate subject, but I'm just showing different types of bridges that are available. Next is the embankment and cutting. So this is the embankment formation. And you know, the railways, they have a strict rule. Any embankment formation, you should give 6 months time. Recently, we had a failure of embankment in a reservoir because it was a fast track project, even the engineer was telling. But why an engineer should accept timelines that are not in accordance with engineering principles? So for any embankment, for achieving the Proctor density, you must have the timelines maintained and the minimum stabilization that is required. So we have this embankment and this is the cutting. And open cut railway track. This is the open cut railway track and station in New York. And railway signaling is another important thing. We have this time interval method, space interval method, and color light signals. We have these yards, signals yard and track circuits and points and slots. So this is the controlling signals and colored signals, colored light signals we have, and we have this location of the signals at the crossings and at the stations. So we have outer signal, we have the home signal, we have these starter signals and advanced starter signals. So we have track circuits, we have high frequency track circuits, we have audio frequency track circuits and axle counters. So this is all the signaling subject. We are supposed to know about it from the point of view of the planning and positioning of this. Otherwise, the electrical and electronic guys will take care of this. Loads considered. Now, the engineering part of it. So the dead load, live load, impact load, thermal force, wind load, seismic, racking force, forces due to curvature, forces on parapets, and frictional resistance of expansion bearings and erection forces. So these are all dead load and live load we are aware, and railway board specifies the standard design loadings for the railway lines and bridge rules. And railway bridges, including combined rail and road bridges, are to be designed for railway standard loading only. And you know, even if you construct any building next to the railway line, we have to take the approval of, or if you are designing a bridge crossing railway line, we have to take the clearance from the railway engineering department. So impact factors on designing railway bridge. And then we have these wind loads as per IS 875, we have to consider, and racking forces, this is again according to railway board guidelines, and the forces of railings, and then seismic load. Now the latest code, I have to update this, actually 2000 and 2016, and forces due to curvature and erection forces and load combinations. This is important for the railways. We have to consider the load combinations in addition to IS 456 for the railway loadings. Next, latest happening is high speed rail or bullet train. So what are the speeds of these bullet trains and high speed rails, and the design concerning this bullet train. Now in India we are getting this, and then modern trend is magnetic level. This is the wheel support we have, and this beams considering the leviation and guidance coil and propulsion coils. So yeah, modern trends in the railways. So this is about engineering the railways. Now I'll take questions if you have any on this subject. Washing lines, yards and workshops. Maintenance line, yeah, that has to be a separate topic by itself. Thank you, Suresh. Any other questions I missed in this? No, I have not uploaded these two PPTs, yesterday's one and today's one. We'll upload the presentation of yesterday's. As I said, I have to little bit modify and then upload. I have to remove some sensitive information in that, And today's also I'll upload. There is no problem for today's presentation. I'll upload it. Download link is box drive only. Trapezoidal shape I explained. Coarse aggregate ballast. Yeah, there are norms for design of the clips and bearing plates and tracks. These have to be modified for increasing the speed of a particular train by assessing the current existing life of these existing tracks. In the river crossing where we have bridge, the load shall be designed to columns of the bridge. Yeah, that we have to assess depending on the span. Broad gauge is preferred over other gauges because broad gauge has attained already that critical mass. So it is not viable to have other gauges actually.
Hello.
Yeah, Vaishnavi.
Sir, will be there a minimum distance between any two tracks?
Yeah, that norms are there actually. There are different types of minimum distance. The barest minimum is, I think, about 2.5 meters. It was there in the presentation. I'll check that. Yeah.
Oh. And you have mentioned about the steel sleepers that you need 2 feet distance between them. Will there be any for pre-stressed concrete sleepers?
Yeah, it is same actually. The spacing of the sleeper is decided based on the type of rail.
Okay. And sir, in steel bridges,
Yeah.
usually in the normal rail, you use ballast for the vibration control. So how is this vibrations counterbalanced in steel bridges?
In the steel bridges, we have to design for that fatigue and vibration actually. Normally you have ballast in bridge also. Even in steel bridge you have the ballast. If you
Okay.
don't have the ballast, you have to, in fact, I have seen in our structures lab, they used to conduct these fatigue tests on sleepers, fatigue tests on these girders and the steel members to assess their performance, depending on the number of cycles of the variation in the loading.
Okay. Sir, last one, and usually in the colder places,
Yeah.
so the steel, if exposed, you'll have that brittleness and cracks. So how will you, I mean, how will you reduce that? Like, is there any method?
No, there is, I mean, steel has got excellent coefficient of thermal expansion and it is, brittleness is not to that level of it losing its strength actually. Within that minus 30 degrees to plus 50 degrees, the steel performance is proven actually.
I mean, I have read few, I mean, papers in like Canada, the like
You are
track
talking,
is on fire and all. So
you are talking about rails or you are talking about sleepers or bridge structures?
rails, sir, rails.
Rail composition is not a regular steel. You have seen that. It is a special composition of the steel actually for rails.
Maybe I should read the whole report.
I have, yeah, you can share it with me. I'll try to explain to you.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. When building is constructed near railway track, what is to be done? Nullify resonance due to vibration. Yeah, they construct these baffle walls actually for reducing the noise levels of the, and we have to create the isolation. In fact, one of my friend in Vijayawada is after me to suggest reduction in vibration to their apartment buildings. Metro rail, yeah, ballast is not provided. Metro rail speed and loading is much different. And so the whole technology is different for the metro rail. I have covered metro rail separate topic. Wooden sleepers replaced with concrete, yeah, most places. Can we increase the speed of rails in existing track? Yeah, it is done actually. What are the major defects observed in concrete sleepers in rolling stock? Rolling stock, sleepers in rolling stock. What are main and maximum skew angle of the tracks? Do we have diamond crossing? Not diamond crossing, it is a square crossing. coefficient of dynamic augment. I didn't understand your question. You can discuss with me in Messenger, Mohammad Zulfikar Ali. What is the meaning of 240R rail that railways recently introduced? This is a probably, even I have not come across. I'll check that. And Jitendra Patil. What is the Hyperloop? Hyperloop is different actually. It doesn't come under this railway thing. How gradient is maintained in, yeah, we have to maintain the gradient of the ruling gradient actually. How to calculate CDA for bullet train bridge? Mohammad Zulfikar Ali, yeah, I have to study and give you answer for this. Even I am not I'm not experienced in this bullet train. Any other questions? How can we control rusting in railway tracks? Yeah, I have mentioned the grade of steel, the carbon content and all that itself will minimize the corrosion. Definitely the performance of rails is much better than normal steel. What is the cumulative cost effective price per meter kilometer of track? Why we are not in position to still upgrade this railway system as compared to Japan, China? Even we have good railway history from 18th century, 19th century actually, yeah. Sir, please take special session on fast track. Even I have to educate myself or bring an expert for fast track. There are people involved in our bullet train still happening, but still we can request one of them to give a talk on this. Definitely. So, cost per meter of the railway. The railway line cost per meter, no, normally it is in kilometers actually. Cost per kilometer of railway can vary anything between 2 crores to 10 crores. That is the cost per kilometer actually. On the ground, single track. How to access the PPT. Box drive is there in Facebook page. We have pinned it. Turntable is used for steam locomotive. Yeah, that's right. Jitendra Patel. So thank you very much. I am closing for the today and we'll meet tomorrow with another topic. I don't remember the topic. I'll share the details in the WhatsApp and Facebook page. Thank you very much. See you. Have a good day.